Is Yuki Kawamura a better basketball player overall compared to Kai Sotto? We all know by now that the Japanese player Yuki Kawamura has a live contract right now in the NBA with the Grizzlies Memphis. Even though it's only a preseason NBA contract, he still has a great chance of making the regular roster for this upcoming NBA season. And that's something that Kai Sotto hasn't done yet, is to get an NBA contract of any form. But what about you guys? Do you think that Yuki Kawamura is a better basketball player overall compared to Kai Sotto? Let me know and comment down below and let's make this a conversation. But in today's video, we'll be talking about Yuki Kawamura and Kai Sotto's overall situation when it comes to their young basketball careers. And at the end of this video, there's one major thing that makes a big difference in Yuki Kawamura and Kai Sotto's situation. And the Filipinos might not like this, so stay tuned at the end of this video to find out. Before we move forward, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. So don't be lazy, the subscribe button is right there, so subscribe now. Yuki Kawamura and Kai Sotto were teammates last year in Japan. Although Kawamura is a year older at 23 years old compared to Kai Sotto, who's only 22 years old. There's no question that Yuki Kawamura is a more skilled basketball player compared to Kai Sotto. I mean, as he should, as you know, he's only 5'8". He's one of the smallest guys, if not the smallest guys on the court, especially at the professional level, so he has to be more skilled than everyone. Kai Sotto, on the other hand, is a more talented basketball player compared to Kawamura. You know, a lot of people don't know that you being a 7'3" basketball player, that's a talent. The game of basketball will come naturally easier for someone that's taller compared to someone who's, you know, like Kawamura, who's 5'8". Kawamura has definitely spent way more time compared to Kai Sotto when it comes to developing his skills, and you can see it based on how they play on the court. When it comes to reads, shot selection, playmaking, and making shots, Kawamura is definitely a better basketball player compared to Kai Sotto when it comes to this. Although both of them did complement each other last year very well, playing for the same team in Japan when Kawamura was the starting point guard and on the other hand, Kai Sotto was the starting center. That whole season in Japan looked like the Japanese version of the Lob City, because almost every game they had like 2 to 3 plays where Kawamura would just lob it up and Kai Sotto would either finish with a dunk or, you know, like a nice little layup where nobody can get but Kai Sotto himself. Even though Yuki Kawamura is a more skilled basketball player right now compared to Kai Sotto, Kai Sotto's upside is that his ceiling is way higher compared to Yuki Kawamura being a 7'3" plus basketball player. There's not a lot of 7'3" plus basketball players in the world where, you know, they can move the same way as Kai Sotto. Kai Sotto, you know, he's not your typical 7'3" player. Sotto is quite mobile for someone being that tall. And he's also not a bad shooter overall. We've seen over, you know, the past 2 years where he has extended his range. We can see him somewhat making three-pointers consistently now. He usually gets his three-point shots off a pick and pop situation, very similar to the action they do in Golden State with Draymond Green and Stephen Curry, where you see a lot of Draymond Green's threes is coming off a pick and pop situation from Stephen Curry. And I've been saying this in the past year or so, where if Kai Sotto wants to get a crack at the NBA, he needs to develop that type of game where he's able to hit shots in and out of the paint and extending it to the three-point line. Very similar game to Draymond Green, because in the NBA, teams are looking for that type of big nowadays where they can hit shots not just in the mid-range but also beyond the arc. And to be honest with you, that's very doable for Kai Sotto, as he's already showing these type of skill that he's been working on in the past few years ever since he turned pro. It's still quite exciting that one of them is able to get a crack at the NBA this year. Kawamura is doing quite well right now in the NBA, and you know, he's holding his own and he's becoming a fan favorite. Right now, at the time of recording this video, Kawamura and the Memphis Grizzlies are currently 2-1 in the NBA preseason. Kawamura right now is doing a great job of getting his teammates involved, as last game against the Chicago Bulls, he played 24 minutes, although he only had 2 points, but he still ended the game with 8 assists. And on the plus-minus category, he was plus 17. And we will see if Kawamura keeps playing well, if he plays better, he might be able to get a crack at the NBA roster with the Memphis Grizzlies. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I was going to share one major thing, the difference between Kawamura and Kai Sotto and what separates both of them. And that's the country where they're coming from. As great of a basketball country Philippines is, they're not the same compared to the Japanese and how they develop their players. Historically, Japan has produced, I believe, 8 NBA players. Not too sure if that number is accurate, but if you guys know the accurate number of how many NBA players Japan has produced, let me know and comment down below. But Philippines, on the other hand, has produced 0 NBA players that's homegrown. Yes, we have some Filipino American players that has played in the NBA, but when it comes to homegrown talent from the Philippines has failed to produce 1 NBA player. You also have to put into consideration that, you know, the Philippines is full of corruption in all levels, not just in the government, but in all fields of profession in the Philippines. And because of that, I know we're talking about basketball, but that makes a big impact on how organized your basketball programs are all over the country. That's one of the main reasons why Kai Sotto had to leave the Philippines when he was still in high school. I believe he was about 16 to 17 years old, where he left Philippines to go to a prep school in the United States, and it did help a lot for his development. And if you compare it to Yuki Kawamura's development growing up, he didn't really have to leave Japan because they already got their own programs and their own situations out there where they can develop NBA players out of Japan, and that's a major difference when it comes to developing players at a grassroots level. I believe it was in 2015 or 2016 where they made major changes in the Japanese B League, which is the professional basketball in Japan, and one of the commissioners or one of the higher ups had committed to make Japan the second best basketball league in the world. But again, what about you guys? Who do you guys think is the better basketball player overall right now? Do you guys think Yuki Kawamura is a better basketball player compared to Kai Sotto? Let me know and comment that down below, and let's make this a conversation. And if you haven't done so, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and we will see you on the next video.